Hundreds of people rallied this week in St. Louis in a suburb called Wentzville, and they did it to support a display of the national motto, "In God We Trust," which hangs in their city council chambers. A woman protesting the motto was escorted out of the council meeting last month for exceeding her time limit, but not before she made her point.
This has created an atmosphere of hostility and intimidation toward those who don't believe in a higher power. I think that is important for everyone to recognize.
That woman, atheist activist Sally Hunt, is here tonight with her side of the story. Also joining us is Missouri State Senator Bob Onder. It's great to see both of you. All right, Sally, let's start with you, because that motto, "In God We Trust," really seems to send you over the edge, and I want to kind of figure it out, the understanding why you think it's the establishment of religion in the United States. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't say that it is the establishment of religion, but it is certainly the endorsement and the advancement of religion by our government. So it should send everybody over the edge if they value the U.S. Constitution, and I do.
Which
it's very
part
important
of it?
to me.
Right. Which part of the Constitution do you feel this violates?
So the First Amendment Establishment Clause
right, which is
makes
why I said
it very clear,
religion.
and it's also being. Well, it has been also interpreted. The Supreme Court has also made it clear. If you look up, are you aware of the Lemon Test? You are. Okay, so
I am.
According
I
to
clerked
the
on the
Lemon
Supreme
Test,
Court. No.
Great. So then that's why I would think that you would also be upset about the endorsement and advancement of religion by our government, which is absolutely unconstitutional, because the motto, "In God We Trust," is about religion. There is no secular purpose.
What religion does it endorse?
So absolutely Christianity, and I am happy to explain why. It's definitely Christianity.
Okay, so let me just go through, for our viewers who don't understand the Lemon Test, which itself is a lemon, as Justice Scalia wrote. Here are the three things that the court just made up. They made this up, and they just said, okay, this is our test. The issue, the government action, has to have a primary effect that neither advances nor inhibits religion. It can't be an excessive government entangle in religion either, and it has to have primarily a secular purpose, a government action.
Well,
this was paid for by private money. Okay, this is private money paid for this. And my question to you is, how does this excessively entangle the government in religion, which is one of the prongs of the vaunted test? And then we got to get to the Congressman.
Right. So, Laura, so the entanglement part does not have to be part of it. There are three parts of the Lemon Test. And so it has to, an action by the government has to pass each one of those three.
Okay, so is "In God We Trust" on the coins? Is that also, you have to redo all the coinage in the country as well?
That absolutely, that's also unconstitutional.
Okay, so
that's the government.
The U.S. government, the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman, let's get to you on this. In U.S. Congress, it has "In God We Trust," in the House of Representatives. George Washington's great quotes on God and liberty and so forth. You can address, look, atheists are really unhappy about this, and they want something done.
They sure are, Laura. As you know, the motto "In God We Trust" goes back many years. In fact, as far as we know, it first appeared in Francis Scott Key's national anthem. And in 1956, Congress unanimously, in both houses, endorsed a resolution making "In God We Trust" our national motto, and President Eisenhower signed that into law. And, of course, we know it appears on our national coinage. It appears in the halls of Congress, both in the House and in the Senate. And in Missouri, it appears in our legislative bodies. And so there's nothing whatsoever wrong with Mayor Guccione and the city of St. Louis, city of Wentzville, deciding that they will accept that donation of the "In God We Trust" display for their city council chambers.
In fact, Senator, a lot of other states are looking at this, too, because what happens is you have a couple of atheist organizations, like anytime it's like Easter or Christmas, and there's a manger scene within 500 miles of a public building, there'll be some atheists like, "Oh, this really upsets me. We've got to pull it down." And I think
Well,
what
that's
happens is, I think what happens is, and Sally, I want to get you in on this. Our founding was a founding based on liberty, liberty that came not from the government, but came from God. Thomas Jefferson said, 1781, on his notes on the state of Virginia, God who gave us life gave us liberty. And can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are a gift from God? Washington, of course, George Washington in his farewell address also invoking God. Our framers were Unitarian. They didn't believe in necessarily organized religion, but God was important.
So why didn't they mention God one time in the entire United States Constitution? There's no mention of God. There's no mention of the Bible. There's no mention of Christianity. Not once. But the only time they mention religion is to say that there shall be no religious test for any elected leader. And by the way, I want to clarify why this is clearly an endorsement of Christianity. Because so the Jewish faith says that you do not print the word God. G-O-D would never be in the Jewish faith on a sign. Okay, so it's obviously not the Jewish God. And then Hindus believe in multiple gods. Buddhists do not believe in a God.
I don't hear a lot
and then
of,
you have
wrong.
22% of non-believers, secular people.
Right, but most overwhelmingly Americans believe in God. I think it's like 89% or 88%, something like that.
But that doesn't matter.
Sally, you don't have to scream. We hear you. But I think the point is most people understand that our country was founded upon this notion of liberty that came from on high. We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable
You're only
rights.
talking about that when it suits your interest. There's no mention of God in the entire U.S. Constitution.
Well, there's no mention of
the Lemon
there's
test
no mention
is
of microwaves in the Constitution. I mean, what does that mean? That doesn't matter. We're talking about liberty, and our liberty comes from God. And the fact that atheists are so I mean, I also think, Sally, like part of it is a lot of atheists. They want to be closer to God, but they don't want to be closer. I don't know what it is, but it's like
what does that mean?
What do you mean? Pray for people. We pray for people as Christians, and I think our friends in the Jewish faith and the Muslim faith pray for hearts to change. And I think that in this scenario right now,
you should be praying
atheists actually turn off a lot of people because it's not hurting anyone to say, "In God we trust." It's kind of respectful for our national tradition.
Do you realize that you're promoting hostility and prejudice and discrimination against atheists, agnostics, secular people throughout this country?
Our country has secular practices all over the place, but you're dominating the conversation. So let's get the senator in on this.
Government must remain neutral.
Laura,
we are neutral. Laura, we're not endorsing the Baptist faith by looking at that in God we trust.
It's Christianity, Laura.
Laura, as you know, that's exactly right. When the Constitution says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, an establishment of religion in its historical context meant that Congress would never make America a Baptist country or a Catholic country or a Buddhist country. But it didn't say that government has to have antipathy and hostility for religion. And that's what really Sally seems to advocate.